Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to your weather forecast. My name is Mr. G, and this is Elite Weather, and we're going to be talking about that upcoming weekend forecast, as we're going to have some beautiful weather conditions out on the East Coast tomorrow and on Sunday, out ahead of the next big storm system that's going to be creating some interesting weather as we move into the beginning of next week. So now let's jump into that forecast and look at our first map. Here is the look at our average high temperatures for the month of October. So this is where we should be, and as you can see, today we were where we should be for the most part across the northern tier of the nation, through the Midwest and the Great Lakes here and over to the Mid-Atlantic. We saw those temperatures in the 60s today, but it was a little bit cool across the southeast, as we also see in temperatures in the southeast in the 60s. We're seeing 70s down there in Florida when we should be in the 80s, so we're below normal over the eastern half of the nation, the southeast, and the Gulf Coast and Florida as well. So we're below normal, and we're also right about normal down here across Texas. We did see some highs in the 80s today in Houston, San Antonio, as well as Austin. Those temperatures are right on par where they should be, and in the Southwest, those temperatures as well are where they should be, with the exception of Southern California, where highs were in the 60s today. You should be in the 70s, and we should be in the 60s through Oregon and portions of Washington, but we saw highs in the 50s today. So much cooler in the Pacific Northwest, departure from average there. So we're about 15 to 20 degrees below average in the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies there. And as we talk about our current surface conditions, here is that cold front that's going to be coming through the central and northern plains. Now, the story about this cold front is there is no moisture with this thing whatsoever. All it's going to do is change our winds from the southwest to the northwest, and that's only going to last one day. Tomorrow, we're going to see that southwesterly flow kick in, and those temperatures are going to warm quite nicely through the Great Lakes and through Wisconsin and Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, as well as over into Pennsylvania and upstate New York. You see that southwesterly flow there. That's that warm air coming from the southwest, from over Texas and the Gulf of Mexico. So we're going to be seeing that warm air advection as it gets pulled in ahead of that advancing storm system coming out of the Pacific Northwest. You see all this rain there. So we saw beneficial rains across the western portions of North Dakota, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. We didn't see much rain across Oregon, as it's going to be mainly around the U.S. and Canadian border. Now, as we take a look at our satellite, there it is. There's that storm out west. See those clouds there along the Canadian border, and we have our frontal system going offshore there. That is going to remain mostly the northern tier. Oregon, unfortunately, is going to miss out on a lot of this precipitation. We might pick up a shower tomorrow around the Portland area, but we won't see much down near Medford and Bend and the interior portions of Oregon. That's mostly going to move over the northern tier near the U.S.-Canadian border. We're going to see this system move into Idaho and Montana. It's going to be spreading some showers and thunderstorms, some snow in the mountains of Montana and Wyoming as well. Yellowstone could pick up about 30 inches of snow. Isn't that funny in October? But that's not unusual for that region. And we're going to be seeing that dry weather across the Great Lakes. A few clouds with our cold front that's going to be dropping down. Again, that cold front is not going to make much difference in the temperatures. All we're going to notice is the wind changing from the south to the northwest. That's all we're going to experience when that cold front passes later on this evening. Now, here we are as we take a look at our national Doppler radar. All is quiet on the East Coast, down in the southeast, the northeast, the northern plains, the Great Lakes, the southwest, Texas, all quiet. Look at this, the Pacific Northwest, from Washington, Idaho, Montana, and western North Dakota. See these showers here? Not a lot of thunderstorms in that, but it's mostly a cold rain as we're seeing those temperatures in the 50s in the Seattle and Spokane area. So much cooler, pretty substantially below normal. So we're seeing that rainfall moving from west to east across the northern tier of the United States this evening. And here we are with our satellite, or with our Saturday surface predictions for tomorrow morning. That southwesterly flow across the plains and the Midwest and into the Northeast is going to promote warmer weather, very sunny as well. It's going to be beautiful. See that warm front? Our cold front is going to stop right at the Minnesota and Iowa border, make a U-turn, go back north as a warm front, because that warm front is going to be lifted north by that advancing area of low pressure coming out of the northern Rockies. So we're going to be seeing that warm air across Minnesota, and our highs is going to soar into the 70s tomorrow and near 80 on Sunday. So a very intensive warm up for this time of the year. And high pressure is going to remain in control tomorrow morning across the Southwest. So we're going to see dry weather with nice weather conditions out there. We might see a shower or a thunderstorm right along the Florida coastline and South Carolina and Georgia, because we do have a weak upper level disturbance straight off the shore. This is not anything tropical. This is an extratropical system out there that's going to remain over the ocean, but it can influence the weather right along the immediate shoreline of Florida, Georgia, and South and North Carolina. Here we are as we look at your afternoon forecast. Your afternoon forecast tomorrow, much of the same. That southerly airflow coming from the south. Here is our dry line across the state of Texas. We have this trough here, but these aren't going to be producing any rainfall as of yet. But we will see those showers and storms fill in this region as we head into Sunday. We're going to take a look at that in just a few moments here. There is our storm across the Pacific Northwest over here near Washington and Oregon, as well as through Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. So Yellowstone is right there. That's where we're going to be seeing the most of that snow. Is right over the Yellowstone and Glacier National Park. And Grand Teton is going to be picking up some of that snow as well. So a very beautiful weather across, I would say, 95% of the country, with the exception of that 5%, 5 to 10% in the Pacific Northwest. Tomorrow night, much of the same. That precipitation is going to remain through the Pacific Northwest as that guy slowly makes his way inland. We're going to start to see more and more snow wrap into that system, and some of that cold air gets pulled in from Canada. So we're going to be seeing that air coming down out of British Columbia and Alberta. So it's going to really intensify some of that snow across the northern Rockies tomorrow as well. And that, again, that warm southerly flow, and there's our warm front now nearly near northern Minnesota tomorrow night. So dry weather for tomorrow. But then we're going to take a look at your Sunday, because I'm going to show you when we could be dealing with some severe weather this weekend as well. Here we are as we take a look at our upper air pattern. This is that system that's off the coast right now. We have a cutoff low off the coast of Southern California. Here's that piece of energy coming through the Rockies right now, and it's going to be spreading that energy through the Rockies, and this is going to eject out into the plains. It's going to kind of become a sort of a hybrid Colorado low, and it's going to move into the northeast there. There it is, going across the plains over Minnesota and the Great Lakes and into southern Canada. But then behind that, now you see that cold air come in, but check this out. Now look at this second piece of energy, that cutoff low. Remember the cutoff low off the coast of California? Here it is, where it ends up by the middle of next week. That guy come across the southern stream. We're going to end up with an energized southern jet stream, and that guy is going to move into the southeast and up the east coast. And so we're going to have that storm system bring some severe weather through portions of the southeast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, through Virginia, Maryland, D.C. We're going to be talking about through New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts and into Maine. So we're going to be seeing that severe weather kind of take place. And we kind of dodged the bullet on a huge cold outbreak. We would have saw a huge cold outbreak had it not been for that southern stream storm interjecting itself right there at the last minute on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we're going to start to see the effects of this southern stream storm as it makes that turn around that trough and start to head off toward the mid-Atlantic states. So we're going to see this guy orientate itself from Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, through Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, where it's going to go offshore in the mid-Atlantic states. So that is going to create the blocking for that area of cold air. The colder air is actually going to get cut off by this cutoff low. So here we are as we take a look at the weekend's surface outlook. Here is that storm coming from the Pacific Northwest. Look at all the snow across the Rockies, the central, northern Rockies, snow from Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho. We could even see some snow through portions of western Montana where the plains are near North Dakota. We're going to be seeing those showers, thunderstorms right here. Here's where our severe weather outbreak is going to take place through the plains from Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, into Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. This is Sunday. So Sunday we're going to be seeing that potential for some isolated severe thunderstorms. Here we are as we take a look at our severe weather outlook. This is for Sunday. So Minneapolis, St. Paul, Des Moines, Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City. You guys are going to be seeing that marginal risk for some severe thunderstorms, and that's going to be the primary threat. Is going to be gusty winds and hail. Now we're not going to see gorilla hail. We're not talking about like 2-inch pieces of hail or baseball size hail. What this is going to be is pellets. Like it's going to look like ice crisp, little pieces of ice. We're talking about very small hail, but it's going to look like snow. It's going to come down like snow, so you're going to see it cover the ground like it would be snowing. Very small hail, maybe some pebble-sized hail. So that might be an interesting scenario if you see some of that hail with some of those thunderstorms, especially down here near Kansas City and through portions of Kansas. On that end is where I think we have a better chance of seeing that hail. But we definitely could see some gusty thunderstorms here in Minnesota and in Des Moines, Iowa. So those regions maybe won't have to worry so much about the hail threat. That's going to be a bit further to the south. Here we are as we talk about the snow expectations for this weekend, and this is projected through the 24th of this month. So we're going to see portions here. Look at that. That's about 32 inches of snow, and that's right over the Yellowstone National Park. Old Faithful going to pick up that 32 inches of snow right over Yellowstone. So definitely going to see a lot of snow through the Rockies from this storm system. The nice thing about this system is that this is going to get deflected into Canada. So most of the energy from this storm, when it gets to the east, is going to go north into southern and southeastern Canada through. We're going to start to see that over Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, Ottawa. You're going to be seeing that storm system head up in that direction. New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and the Maritime provinces there in northeastern Canada. We may have a cold front, but it's going to get picked up by that southern stream storm system. So that is definitely going to change the forecast when we get into next week and put the brakes on any big substantial cold outbreak as far as next week is concerned. It will get cooler in the Great Lakes and the northern plains of Minnesota, Wisconsin. We'll see those temperatures fall into the 50s, but you won't be worried about the 30s for highs, not just yet. You might have a little bit of time before that happens. So here we are as we take a look at those temperatures for this weekend. And here we are. See our cold front right there? Move to the east. See that cold air coming in the Great Lakes? And boom, look at the south. See, look at that. See, here we go from the south. See how it warms up? Because now our southern stream storm gets into play and disrupts that cold air mass as it comes in, and warm air will rush back up from the south. But it will be to the east of Minnesota and Wisconsin, but it will affect Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. So those portions of the Midwest is going to see that secondary warm up from that southern stream storm when it comes up out of Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. All right, so here we are. So take a look at our rainfall expectations through the end of the month, through the 31st of October. And here we are. We're seeing our storm out west is going to be producing a couple of inches of rain through portions of, if you look there in northern Montana, we're seeing about 4 or 5 inches of rain. So some areas, this particular picking up some substantial rainfall. There is the rainfall from our southern stream storm about Tuesday. We're going to be seeing our southern stream storm right there. There it is, those thunderstorms that's going to be coming across the Midwest there, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, through Tennessee and Kentucky. So that's where we're going to be seeing some thunderstorms at the end of this week and the beginning of next week. And here we are, so take a look at some of your forecasts for selected cities across America. So tonight's overnight lows and forecast is going to be as follows. Southern California will have balmy temperatures overnight with lows in the 60s, but we will cool off going north toward the Pacific Northwest, where Seattle will be 46 degrees overnight tonight, and warmth across the state of Texas and through the Midwest. So look at that, beautiful overnight temperatures in the 50s to low 60s, mid 60s over here in Louisiana. So Houston, 66 degrees for overnight low, 63 in New Orleans, and we'll also see those 50s through northwestern Florida, but South Florida will be in the 60s overnight. But we're going to be seeing that cold weather in the overnight hours tonight. Looking at 39 degrees in Charlotte. So very cool overnight tonight through the mid-Atlantic states. 43 in Washington. And New York is going to be 45 overnight tonight. And 46 for you folks out there in Boston in the Northeast. But a little bit warmer through the Midwest and the Great Lakes. Chicago, 55 tonight. 44 in Minneapolis. And Cleveland will see an overnight low tonight of 41 degrees, or Detroit, 51 tonight in Detroit. Tomorrow, again, that warmth across the South and the Midwest. Look at that, spectacular warmth here in the Midwest. 82 for you folks in Kansas City. Oklahoma City, 90 degrees. 90 degrees in mid to late October. In Oklahoma, 73 for you folks in Rapid City, 75 in Minneapolis. So that warmth is definitely making its way toward the northern plains. 60, 70, 78 in Chicago, almost 80 degrees, and 81 down there for you folks in Memphis. So very warm, or St. Louis, 81 in St. Louis. New Orleans going to be 81 and 85, though you folks in Houston. Miami, 83 degrees, but still pretty cool in the Pacific, in the Northeast, as temperatures begin to start its climb to warming up. But that 66 in New York, and that 68 in Boston. So we're seeing temperatures in the 60s along the northeastern coast. But look how cool it is in the Pacific Northwest. 52 degrees for Seattle. So very cool across the Pacific Northwest for your day on Saturday. Sunday, this is what you're going to be seeing for highs. That warmth will continue across the nation's midsection through the plain states, from the Gulf Coast in Texas all the way up to the Pacific, to the Central Plains and the Northern Plains. Again, 75 in Minneapolis for a high on your Sunday, and we're going to be seeing that 78 in Chicago once again, and very similar temperatures to Saturday for your day on Sunday. Couple of degrees warmer in Seattle with a high of 55, and LA is going to be 74, very comfortable, perfect for going out to Hollywood or to Santa Monica and enjoying your day, and warm across the southeast. Down here in Florida, 83 degrees down there in Miami, and in the northeast, Boston is going to see a high of 61, with 62 in New York, 66 for you folks over there in Washington, D.C., in the nation's capital. For Monday, okay, our warm starts to move a little bit to the east as our front starts to march to the east now. Still going to stay warm in Minneapolis, but a few degrees cooler. 67 for your high on Monday. But we're going to see those temperatures kind of come down a little bit in Texas, as we're going to see it as 75 in Dallas and 83 down there in Houston. Still warm right along the Gulf Coast. And 80 for you folks in New Orleans down there, and Miami going to see 83 for a high. And up the northeast, we're going to have a high temperature of 62 in Boston, and then 67 in New York, 72 in D.C. as that warmer air starts to make it towards your way, and warmer again. We're going to see it warmer across the Southwest, 75 in L.A., 73 in Phoenix, so it's much cooler across the Southwest, as Phoenix is going to be on that southern end of that trough of low pressure, that jet stream energy. So that's going to provide cooler air for the desert Southwest, and temperatures in the mid-50s over there in Seattle. So it's going to continue to be cool across the Pacific Northwest, which is about seasonal for this time of the year. Not what they've been used to this season, but again, we'll take seasonal. Now here we are as we talk about your Tuesday forecast. Where we wrap this up, it's going to cool off a little bit more across the Pacific Northwest. Seattle drops down to 51, 77 down there in LA, 64 in San Francisco, 77 for your high in Phoenix, 72 in Las Vegas. So very comfortable across the Southwest. Texas is going to see much cooler weather too as we move into your Tuesday, as that front we get that southern stream storm system starting to develop down across the southern coast there. So you see those showers in Dallas-Fort Worth with a high of 66. Houston going to see showers as well with their high of 72. New Orleans is going to be 80 with cloudy skies and showers. Showers in Memphis with a temperature of 70, and 61 in St. Louis, and Kansas City will see a high of 63 with more showers, and showers there, and actually in Kansas City 58. So we're going to be seeing temperatures in the 60s across Chicago, 68 with some showers. So that southern stream storm is starting to spread some rain showers through the Midwest and the Mid-South area. So there through the Ozark Mountains and the Mid-South through Kentucky, Tennessee, portions of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, East Texas, all the way through North Carolina and Virginia, West Virginia, and through Michigan and Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. So you guys are going to be dealing with that midstream storm here that's going to, it's a warmer storm, so we're not going to see that cold snap just yet. The cold air won't come in until later in the week. So we do kind of get a respite from the unusual cold. So that's good news as well. And a little bit of rainfall and cooler weather for the Pacific Northwest, as you guys have been suffering through intense drought and ridiculous heat. Very unusual heat for the Pacific Northwest. So I'm glad the jet stream kind of worked in your favor this week to bring you some much needed rainfall. By no means is it a drought buster, but it will be beneficial. So that is a look at that weather for. We got one more day, so we got your Wednesday, because I definitely want to talk about the impact that that southern stream storm is going to have into next week. I think this is the last day here, and we're going to be seeing that rainfall move into portions of Atlanta, 72, and we're going to be seeing that rainfall go up the East Coast, where Charlotte, 74. And we're going to be seeing that rainfall also in Cleveland with a temperature of 65 degrees, 62 there in St. Louis. Detroit will have a temperature of 60 with rain showers, as well as in Buffalo, 67 degrees with some rain showers. And rain showers in New York there with a temperature of 69. So we're definitely starting to see that storm system make its way up into the mid-Atlantic and toward the northeast. So again, it's going to remain pretty comfortable across the Midwest and the Northern Plains. Minnesota falls into the 50s, but not too bad for this time of the year. About right where we should be. My name is Mr. G. That was your weekend weather forecast, and we kind of took a peek into next week. We'll be back on Sunday with another forecast to talk about next week's weather more in depth. Thanks for watching me. Leave your likes, your comments, and always feel free to subscribe to the channel. Help us help the channel grow. Thanks for watching. See you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye.